Hi, I'm Rob Daly with 5am. I'm going to give you a quick snapshot as of April 17th. Before moving on, I want to point out this quote toward the bottom of the slide from Alan Williams of Life Technologies. Life is a really large player in the life science space. They did $3.7 billion in revenue last year alone. Key thing is we work with them on some very sophisticated but small software over the past, let's say, 6 months. And this quote came from Alan, and it reflects exactly what we're looking for in every one of our clients. The bottom line was he sensed the passion, he sensed the depth of what we're doing with respect to our engineering and our science capabilities. We claim it, but we also deliver on it, and that's what he's saying here. And the key thing is we didn't do it to serve ourselves, we did it to help propel them. And that's so wonderful when you get a client that actually recognizes that and acknowledges that. So very excited, certainly a marquee client of ours. And by the way, we just recently, say in the last week or so, we signed a contract for $1.75 million to add to our buffer here, pipeline. Quick background, founded almost 10 years ago now. We're a technology company. A lot of technologists here, heavy duty, everybody's into it. We do software and analysis services. We've grown organically, we got no debt, and we're very profitable. Key thing is last year we kind of suffered because we are such technologists. We haven't been the strongest in sales, and so we relied heavily on one client that had grown very, very well because we deliver so well. And that client, the National Cancer Institute, by the way, had to rein themselves in a little bit. It in turn affected us. That affected what our anticipated growth was going to be last year. And as a matter of fact, in a good way, it made us start looking and acting a little more expansively instead of depending on them. But the bottom line was, and very interestingly, our EBITDA actually went up for the year. And I'll explain that in part in that another aspect of us is that we have about 50 employees at this point, but we maintain a buffer or a pool of subcontractors that we will bring in from time to time, whether it's because they have services that we don't really have or want yet in our organization, or just if they're going to supplement our teams. And we find very nice collaborative partners to work with in that regard. They were able to suffer, or should I say, absorb any of the pain last year, so we had no layoffs either. I will note that. Finally, it's key to note that we're in all of the spaces, in effect, commercial, academic, government, and nonprofit. So if people are performing life science or health functions, we're glad to serve them. Specifically, 5am creates innovative software solutions that affect and actually bridge life science and health communities. We've got engineers who want to be here. They love the engineering work we do, and they love the fact that what they do and build is actually serving a good cause. And I think when you think about Danya, it's very aligned with the way you guys, your mission is. We provide solutions that are tuned to our clients' needs, and that's a really critical thing too, in that we might come into a client with pre-existing software, with a solution we've done before that we own the rights to, or perhaps it's open source. But we don't walk in and say, this is the way you have to change your business processes to meet the way the software works. Instead, we're highly collaborative. We're an iterative, agile shop, and we work very closely with our client to come to a solution that meets their needs. And I think our clients love that. Finally, we're in a space that's got constant change and new technology evolving, in two dimensions, not only the software, but the science side. And so what we do is harness that technology and make sure that we can make the technology positively affect the researchers and the healthcare professionals that are doing their work. Broadly, we solve all the problems that everybody solves when they're in the software space, right? We automate things, we help people collaborate, we bring order to chaos. But the bottom line being that we permit these researchers and life science folks to focus on what they want to do and not worry so much about the software. Make that software get out of their way. Specifically, we've solved a variety of problems. I'm not even sure how many clients we have at this point, but we have a lot of case studies that you can review. But we've built systems that enable collaboration, improve workflow, and actually do full clinical research workbench works. On the data analysis and visualization side, we've worked closely to help illuminate what data means, putting it all in order and keeping it contained, getting rid of the noise, and then finally helping lab operations to scale up as they grow from a small, slow research shop to something perhaps that they're trying to commercialize. Our current clients and projects, this is a great little slide that kind of shows our breadth and the spread of our business. You'll see represented on there government, nonprofit agencies, research institutes, and even university. The University of Michigan is actually our latest departure. It is both a huge academic endeavor where they're trying to take their research systems and mirror them or get them aligned with their recent addition of university-wide clinical systems. In this case, we're doing enterprise architecture, which is fairly new to us. It's a bit of a step, but again, we do so. This is the representative of the kind of growth that we have, where we can, in a very controlled manner, push our limits. We're excited to have that, and we think we're going to do really well with that. Quick financial snapshot. You can see the last couple of years of actuals. This year is about to end at the end of April, and then you see the budget for next year. Key thing is that we see our gross margin is right at about 50% right now. Our EBIT is 13%. For us, we're pretty pleased with that. It's really respectable. We're excited that next year we definitely have targets that will move us along. As a matter of fact, here's our pipeline. It's roughly in the low to mid 30s right now for what we've got identified, and some of that, about 10 million of that, is actually already booked or likely. So we expect that all to come in. But in the course of even the next few weeks, I think by May 9th, we expect to have some $60 million in that pipeline. So we'll just be working on that. Quick note on how we're organized. It's really an internal view. It's not an org chart. But it's just to give you a sense of what we think the big lumps are. So the big lump at the bottom there is the core of the business. It's really independent of any one domain. It's run by Susan Mason. She runs all operations of the company. The next level up, the green level, is our acquisition team, and that is specifically run by Brent Gendelman. Again, probably the strongest person in the organization still to do that. So we probably could stand to look for new staff that's going to help us in that space. The red boxes, that really represents the core of what we bring and our strength, and that is technology and science solution space. It's how we do it, the technologies we use, the way we do it, and the tools that we employ as well. So pretty nifty. Greg Gurley actually runs that. He's our Vice President of Client Services, and probably about 20 years working with each other as well. Finally, at the top, you see the separate practices. These practices are really just a fancy pants name of way of calling our teams. We've broken up our teams according to the way we see work come in. So we often have work that's research-oriented or health IT-oriented. But the bottom line is that's an internal view of how we group ourselves, and it's just to kind of make it easy to divvy up incoming work and to go after new opportunities. But relatively new introduction. I'd say we introduced that about a year ago now, and we're just getting to the point where we're looking for them to really identify themselves and sustain themselves. Quick note on where we're going. The distant vision, everybody says it differently, but my view is the vision for 5am is that 10, 15 years out, when a life science professional, whether they're a researcher or a health professional, is banging their head and they're just not satisfied with the way their systems are working or anything of that sort, that in their mind they know, I've got to call 5am because those guys tend to get things right and improve people's lives. So if we have that reputation and that breadth of exposure to the space, we've achieved our vision. In the near term, being realistic, we set quarterly goals, and we're about to start sitting down for our Q1 goals, our Q1 starting in May. Key thing, being organic and expecting to continue being organic, we'll look for continued sustainable growth. We're going to hit these teams, these practice teams, are actually starting to really sustain themselves. They've got P&L requirements, and they'll be hopefully defining a little bit of mojo for themselves so that they can start getting casually competitive with one another for the best place to be. And it's actually like mini 5am, in fact. Next thing, though, that's really critical to us, that's eluded us, is choosing some industry partners that are leading partners. And so we're looking for large, mutually symbiotic partners that we can help get into new places, or should I say, they can help us get into new places, but we can bring value to them and their clients. That should be very exciting as we start to commit to a few specific ones that we believe in. And then finally, we know with the continued growth, one of the risks is always, can you continue to deliver good quality? And so we have a very good self-assessment process and a way of ensuring that as we move forward, we're achieving 10s on our customer satisfaction. And if we're not, we have ways of resolving it. So that would be a big item for the next quarter for us. And that's about it. Sorry for any mumbling and fumbling there, but here's a couple more quotes about people who say about us. But if you would like to discuss anything else in detail, we can go back to other points or just take the conversation the way you'd like to go. Thank you very much.